welcome to SoulWhat, a Soultopia podcast. I am Michelle Welch.
And I'm Roger Welch. So what's up today, Michelle?
Well, today we are coming to you from Soultopia.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. We are still open. No. Okay, so that'll get us in
we're
it.
not still
We're
open.
not still open.
The door is locked.
The door is
However,
locked.
if you want to order something online, we will ship it to you, or we'll set it on the curb and you can swing by and pick it up.
Is that not so funny that I just said that?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why it's funny. Because I am the most paranoid person. We have probably followed the laws since day one about in Dallas about being closed. I think better than anybody because I've seen a lot of personal businesses open around here. So mom and pop
What did I
shops
see
and things
today?
like that. No, don't rat anybody out. Don't do that.
It was a restaurant.
Okay, don't rat anybody out. But
It rhymes with awful.
Roger, I'm serious. But anyway, so
Thought that was funny, didn't you?
I've been so serious. I've been so paranoid that we followed the rules. Like the little lawyer in me.
Well,
the
honestly, I almost went in there and had lunch today because I'm having the jonesing to go in and eat some food.
No, but you
at
gotta
a restaurant. And
people aren't
I was
gonna
like
think that's
driving by and there's people sitting there eating.
Help me.
So I did the second best thing.
Anyway, so we're not open. What we've been doing is following the law as it changes every day as it needs to because this is very serious. But it's been, difficult for all small businesses. Obviously, the big businesses have not followed it at all, right?
Nope.
They've done whatever the hell they want to do and had the cops come raid them to close them down. But we followed the law, and so we are open and only for mailing.
Mailing, online, curbside pickup.
Yeah, and you can do a virtual shopping experience with this, which is pretty interesting.
Actually, it's kind of fun. It's $20, but that $20 goes towards your purchase.
Yeah.
You get 20 minutes. I gave the guy the other day a little extra time, and we just went through and picked out some really nice stuff.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it was super easy. He enjoyed it.
We also have these really cool masks that are being made by Erica and Lynette. They are very well made that you can actually put crystals in. And the crystals, of course, we're not claiming in any way that they are going to make you well, but they work with you in any way. Crystals always work with you. So they will work with you for, if you want to feel calmer or anything like that. So that's the mask, which is better than I could ever make anything. They're the nicest ones I've seen as far as
they're cool because there's a pocket. There's a pocket inside inside the mask. So if you wanted to put one of the large or get like some of the HEPA filters and cut to put in, you could very easily. You can also, but then there's also that little bitty pocket on the inside where you could put crystals. You could throw a couple of herbs in there.
But they're
also
like that. But they're also like three things. I wish Eric was here, or, to tell us. But there's like three things thick. Yep. And fabric, and of course you can wash them because I've seen people wearing stuff that I'm like, that's got holes in it, and you can't even wash that. And you've been wearing that how much? And you saw somebody at tell them, and we do have guests, but tell the story really fast.
So I had to stop at I stopped at Sam's because I had to go to work for my my Muggle job, and I stopped at Sam's to pick up a couple of things that we needed. Which was great because there was nobody shopping. I mean, there was nobody hardly.
Well, yeah, because they're following the law.
And
right.
People are only going in for the necessities. I didn't see anybody just walking up and down and just getting,
But what happened? Who'd you see?
But there was this guy there, and he had his baseball cap on like this, and he had one of those the paper masks, like you get at Lowe's, Home Depot, that's just for sawdust and whatnot. That's the type of mask he actually had. Then he had a gallon-sized Ziploc bag.
Freezer bag,
right? Stuck up in his hat pulled down, and the mask down over his face. And then I see him over there like this, looking at stuff.
He's lifting it up, you guys. Anybody on podcast? He had a freezer bag over his head, and then he'd pull it up.
Yeah.
And then he'd put the freezer bag. So we're calling him Freezer Bag Man.
Yeah. And then there was another guy that had actually it was those good masks, the ones that they show that kind of come out a little bit. Except he was wearing it here.
He was wearing it under. Wearing it on his chin.
Well, it's supposed to go up.
Well, at least they're trying. And our masks are going to be ready, but we've sold so many of them. I don't know that. I think we'll be the last one to get them. Anyway, we're excited because we have our good friends and readers from Soultopia and all around great people. Do you want to announce our guest?
I thought we had Mary and Nikki on.
So we have Mary and Nikki on, and I should have had these stellar bios for you guys, but here's what I did instead. I wanted you guys to just tell a little bit about yourselves. We have them on because, number one, they're awesome, and they're friends of ours and great supporters of the store and of us and of, well, most people. They always are posting and supporting everybody else's work. They're those kinds of people. But tell us about you guys, a little bit about yourselves, but why we have them on is they are avid tarot and oracle deck collectors, and that's what we have them on the show about. But before you talk about that, just give us a little brief something about yourselves. Somebody go first. Mary, go.
Go, Mary. Okay. I am a daily reader at Soultopia, and I've been doing it now for several years. And I'm also started my spiritual awakening when my mother passed away from cancer. And that kind of led me to this metaphysical and spiritual stuff, and it's kind of grown from there.
So I've kind of had to deal with this since I was a kid. So I've kind of always been in the metaphysical world. As far as like the cards, it was a little bit later. I am a military brat, so I've lived a lot of places. I've been here for about 5 years, a little over 5 years, and actually kind of ended up in Soultopia probably about a year in. And that's actually how Mary and I became friends, and eventually roommates, as we met at the Intuitive Insights class that they have every Thursday. So actually, today is 4 years that we decided. I was trying to get out of a bad apartment. She had to find a place, and we just basically, I was like, hey, anybody want to room together? And that's kind of how that happened.
And it's her birthday today.
And I was about to say that. Happy birthday, Nikki. And so we have
Thank
Mary
you.
Gates. And Nikki, pronounce and you go, it's Nicole, but you go by Nikki. Pronounce your last name for us correctly, because you know I always mispronounce it.
That's fine. People have been mispronouncing it for 49 years.
Yeah, but
it's
pronounce
Pere.
it. Say it again.
Pere, it's French for father. It's missing the accent, but that's where that background comes from.
So it's missing the accent, like when you spell it?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's
So it's
P-E-R-E with
P-E-R-E.
no. Okay. All right. So it's French for father?
Yes.
And I know you've done a lot of research on your ancestry, too.
Yeah. Actually, that one we don't have a lot of, just because my great-grandfather died when my grandfather was 3. She remarried, and she really couldn't discuss him around her new husband once she was widowed. And there's just not a lot. I'm not sure if that's the whole name, but we'll see. Eventually, I'll find that information.
All right. Do you have questions?
No.
Okay,
Keep going.
well, I'll get it started. So I could talk to you about you guys have a lot of interesting things to talk about. You each have very unique, but one of the things you said that kind of caught me, Nikki, was you said, I've had to deal with this since I was very young. Could you explain to everybody listening or watching what you mean by that?
So
I understand it. But
I tend to come from a family that's sensitive on both sides. Even though my dad doesn't really want to admit to it, he does know certain things that he probably shouldn't. So we had trauma at a very young age, and a lot of times that seems to, if you're already a sensitive, seems to attract things. So we dealt with obviously like shadow figures and things that would touch you and say things. I mean, sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. It's just, it's kind of part of my life since it's been there so long. So I kind of say, deal. It isn't always like necessarily dealing. I mean, it does allow me to help people sometimes, especially people that have been in like similar situations, people with small children that are very sensitive, very, strongly sensitive. on how to kind of learn how to protect themselves and set those boundaries.
Right. And I think that's so important because a lot of parents just don't know. And so just having been one of those kids, it would have been it's so serious if you don't have somebody that knows how to help you, and especially depending on what culture and religious beliefs they're coming from, and they might take it in a direction where they think it's not something good.
Well, and I was lucky because, my brothers have it, my mom has it. I've got my best friend is like very strongly psychic. I've met people that they're the only one that is. So, I mean, I was lucky that way because I had people that understood
right.
or were having similar experiences. I've met people, especially like reading here and just, over the years that didn't have anybody or had people that thought they were crazy or, were deeply religious and meant the best, but it isn't necessarily, there's that thought process. I've got an aunt that's very religious that does prophecy. To me, it's not any different from what I'm doing, but to her, it's very different.
I understand with that completely. That's why it's so interesting for me. I look back, and even though my family, and I don't want to get into a lot of my family on here, but even though they may not think and believe the way I am doing things now, I look at a lot of people in my family and I go, aha, 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 but they might have taken it in a different direction.
A lot of times it's that they don't accept what it really is or what we consider it to be.
Just view it in a different direction,
Yeah.
or a different way.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the fun stuff about the cards. Okay, so you guys have quite the collection. Mary, do you want to start us off on that? How many?
Okay, so we have over 100 cards, and most of them are hers. Probably 30 of those are mine now because I'm getting more into it. But when we moved in together, she had 45, and now she has.
And that's the overflow that he's showing right now.
Yeah.
That's kind of, because we can kind of see the pictures up here. That's part of the collection. I think there's one that pulls back a little bit more.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see the whole thing.
Collection. And there's some underneath the shelf as well.
I think there's some in your bag because you did readings, and there's some in my bag from the last time we did readings.
Yeah.
And I bought like 2 more this week. So
yeah. So yeah, we love stacks, and we are partial. We love Oracle and Tarot. It doesn't matter.
And some of them we have the same, just because we might be reading it, say Sensation, and we both want to use the same deck. And obviously there's some that she loves that I might not feel for, and vice versa.
Right.
So, well, let's talk a little bit about that. So let's start with you, Nikki, if we could. So we could go to some of your favorite decks. I think we have an image of that.
Okay, so this is one of the newest decks I got, and a lot of times I'll get a new deck. I try to buy from SoulWhat as much as I can, but sometimes I'll just see one that I'm like, I've got to have it. This is probably one that's Beyond Lemuria that actually officially comes out on the 10th. That I would probably bring into you or Erica and say, hey guys, let's look at this. I think this will sell in the store. Or, I might come into you and go, I don't know that it'll sell in the store, but I think you're going to like it. This one, just because I resonate with Lemuria. The one that he's showing now is the Oracle of the Shapeshifters, which is Lisa Cavendish, which is one of my favorite book writers as far as Oracle cards, and Jasmine Beckett Griffith, who is sort of this artist that I was a fan of before I knew that she did Oracle cards. She actually has, I used to live near Orlando. She actually has a studio out there. So it was kind of nice to find out that she actually did really do those as well. And then Magic of You, and a lot of times, because I've got so many, they'll be my favorite for a while, they'll go back. This one I actually just kind of pulled again. I did buy this one at the store, and the Oracle of the Shapeshifter, excuse me. That's Fiona Horn, who is an Australian witch that is kind of well known. I just love the imagery with that. And then this is, because I do also buy a lot of independent decks. This is the 78 Tarot. That's their elemental. They do something every year where, and this is, I think this was deck 6. They do a theme. It's 78 different artists. They go with the theme, and they kind of decide, this, say, world would be assigned to somebody. They're going to do it their way. And to me, because I do intuitive tarot, the imagery is something that really, really helps me. And obviously, if you've got a different artist doing everything in a deck, you might get a lot more than, say, something where somebody did the same deck.
In a deck like that, do you see a lot of where you have the different artists, but you kind of can see a theme that goes through everything?
Yes, which is part of the reason I really liked it, and that kind of is how I got into independent decks. I happen to have Facebook friended a couple of the art directors, Delphine and Katie, and just kind of got into that. And I try to buy a deck. I have all but the original deck that they did. The first one didn't have a theme. And then I think they should be starting their Kickstarter on that soon. I don't know with everything that's going on if that's going to change it, obviously, because, you've got a lot of people in quarantine, so.
Yeah.
Right. So I have a question for you. I have so many questions because you guys do know so much about all the different decks. As far as when you get a deck, it's interesting to me that the author of a deck, and that if the author and the artist are different, oftentimes the author, for those listening and watching, that would be the person who would write the book or the companion booklet that would go with it. And maybe they came up, perhaps the idea originated with them. For instance, I have an idea for a deck right now that would go with my book that's coming out, right? But I can't draw worth a damn. So that would mean I need to find an artist. I know that I have come up with the idea. I'm going to impart those ideas to my artist, right? But the artist is the one who's going to come up with all those imagery. So I can understand that I'll give direction to that artist. And so I can understand in that instance why maybe my name would get some recognition. But oftentimes the artists get forgotten. Have y'all ever noticed that? And it's the artists that make you look at it and you go, oh, wow, it's so beautiful. And the artist name's sort of an afterthought. What are your thoughts on that?
I tend to try to notice the artist. I think it depends, because I know, yesterday I was watching your friend Ethany's page, and she was talking about the 4 decks that she's selling right now, or was pre-selling. And it sounds like with her and the artist, they actually are doing something that's really collaborative. So I think it kind of depends on how much they work together. I think sometimes, it's not fair that the artist isn't getting it. Not everybody's going to look at that, but it may be okay, well, I want to pull up the new Lucy Cavendish deck, and it's a new artist. So maybe that's somebody I wouldn't have necessarily known their work. I know there's a couple of decks where I've found the artist on iCanvas or one of these other sites that does canvases, and I've been able to get their work through that, or actually even go to, say, find out where their website is and see if they're selling something so I can support them, especially if I love the art.
Right.
Yeah.
Good point. So, Mary, you have one of my favorite, I'd say one of my favorite people. She's growing into being one of my favorite people. Happens to be one of your favorite decks, and I think Nikki's too. And by the way, Nikki, I love work by Lucy Cavendish also, and I love reading her booklets and her books. And I love Blue Angel Publishing. I love almost everything that comes out of there. But the Light Seers Tarot,
Yes.
So would you like to speak to this of Chris-Ann?
I love this deck so much because it has so much movement, and you can really get an amazing reading from it, and you can ask a lot of questions and get answers, and it's just made reading with it amazing, and I absolutely adore this deck, and I think it's one of the best decks out there right now, and it's one of my go-to decks, to be honest, definitely, and she's lovely.
Yeah.
One of the things I think is because she is marvelous. How do you guys feel, and either one of y'all can both answer this or one or the other, how do you feel about, do you need to because it seems like you guys have gotten to know a lot of these artists and authors. How do you feel through Facebook or otherwise? How do you feel about, do you feel like you need to like the person to like the deck?
I think so. I think that like a lot of people, I started with Doreen Virtue's stuff. And, you know, I liked a lot of it. Some of it I still like, but kind of her turnabout with her attitude toward cards in general, kind of, I was like, why do I even want to still have these? And obviously, if you've got somebody who just kind of turns out to be not a nice person, why would you want to use their stuff? Like, I don't necessarily want their, I don't want to say their karma, but, you know, just kind of that overall attitude.
Yeah,
Well,
their energy.
If you resonate with somebody, you usually resonate with their deck as well. I mean, it's pretty much the same. I agree.
Yeah, that's interesting. How do you feel about that, Roger?
Well, knowing your story, because you've had some decks that you really, really love the decks, and then met the people, and then you're like, yeah, I'm not using that deck anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's almost like sometimes I have wished, you know, like when you love a movie and then you find something out about somebody, and not that I want to judge, but like you find out something about the actor or the actress that is, or you hear they've done something, you know, maybe, I don't know, give an example, they beat up their wife or something, and then all of a sudden you're like, I don't like that movie so much anymore. It's hard to put that aside. It's really difficult for me. Some people say, no, it's completely separate. It's the deck. The deck stands alone, and they try to make that argument. I just can't. I can't. And once I meet the person, and or if they do something really just, they're complete, you know what, it affects, what'd you say?
Jerks.
Well, my word was stronger, so I left
Assholes.
it out. It was, we're not going to keep filling in the blank, because my word was stronger. But it does affect me. All right, so do you have any questions for them about their debt collection? Because I feel like I'm talking the whole time.
You're fine talking.
Okay.
So, Mary, tell us about yours. I mean, what do you have that really stands out to you that you love to use every day?
I like to use, besides the light steers, I like the Star Tarot ones. They're gorgeous, and they're really, can you see them?
Yep.
And they're just beautiful, and I really like those. And then my other favorite ones are the Oracle of the Unicorn. I see there's pictures right now of the Star Tarot, and they're just gorgeous, and they are beautifully done, and they have beautiful messages, and you can see something new every time you read with them, and I really love them. And then the other one I really love is the Oracle of the Unicorn, because they're stunning, and they're just beautiful, and of course, who doesn't like unicorns? But that's just me. But they're just really beautiful, and they also, I think they have a really nice way to end my readings. Usually is how I end with those.
Have you guys ever thought about making making a deck?
I've thought about it. My middle brother, because I've got two younger brothers, does a lot of art, always has. It's not really doing his full potential. So I would love if he gets out here to kind of put that together. We actually did kind of like a little storybook when we were a kid, and I did the writing and he did the art on it. So it would be nice to kind of do that with a tarot deck, but I know that's something that's going to take a lot of time, and it's probably easier in sort of the same area than trying to do it. He's in Florida right now. I'm here in Texas, so you know, maybe.
Well, and we consult Nikki a lot for the store, because she mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, whenever I'm putting an order together, I always call Nikki. Hey, Nikki, what do you think?
Well,
got anything new coming up?
She and we do try to support independents or self-published. Ethany, our friend Ethany, is one who's coming out with 4 decks. A bunch of different ones, and we're doing it more and more to the extent we can,
Right.
because sometimes they are more expensive decks. So, but how much, you guys, would you say that you would call yourself more of a, do you use all your decks, or do you keep them as collector decks?
I think I've used all of them at some point. It comes and goes. It depends on what I'm doing. Like if we're doing sensations and there's a certain theme, then I might pull something there. It may be what I'm kind of called to use because, especially here, we have a wide variety of people that come in from different cultures, different races, different religious backgrounds. So, I might have a shaman card for somebody that's, more into that. I might pull an animal card. I kind of do whatever calls to me. I mean, that's the honest thing, whether it's a crystal, whether, I'm in, say, an antique store and I pick something up, cards, it's kind of whatever calls to me because there's a reason, whether I use it now or I use it 6 months from now, that I pick it up.
Most of my decks I've used, there's some that I use more frequently than others, but sometimes they resonate with you for a while, and then sometimes they don't for a while, and that's okay.
Do you guys have any suggestions for people who are looking to buy a deck? What would you suggest as far as not where to go? Of course, they're going to come to Soultopia or look online, but I'm serious. What would you say would be a suggestion of how they might know what would fit for them? An oracle deck, maybe, or even a tarot deck.
I know what I usually do is I'll take my phone, whenever you guys get new decks in, I kind of look at them and I look at the back, but that isn't always indicative of what it actually looks like. Mm-hmm. So I usually will go to Google because there's always somebody that's done some sort of unboxing and kind of see the cards because I may not like the outside of the deck, but like within it or vice versa. The other thing I do is I go to YouTube. You have people like Ethany that do unboxing, so you can kind of see the cards. I have one deck, independent deck, the True Black Tarot, that I just put Tarot in YouTube, and somebody had put it up there, and then I kind of looked at it and went, well, I really want to find out where to get this deck. So I think that's kind of a good place, is just to kind of get an idea, because you might have, like I said, great cover art on the front of the box, and then you get in and the cards just don't do anything for you.
Right. Maybe kind of flimsy or two, right?
Yeah. We do like our cards to be thick. We really do. We do like a certain way. And it just makes it easier.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me, but it's more like the art. Does the art speak to me?
Yeah. Does it resonate? Because sometimes they do, and sometimes you get a box and they don't resonate then, but they'll resonate later. Yeah. Or you'll have somebody come in and you'll be like, oh, that deck will be good for them, and you have it in your stash to use, and that's always a good thing.
Well, like the Hush Tarot that you guys sold. When it first came into the store, I didn't like it, and just happened to kind of look through it again. I think Roger actually had it, and I started looking through it again and went, you know what, I really like this deck. I'm really kind of called to it, where 3 weeks before it just didn't do anything for me.
Right.
They do kind of grow on you, or sometimes you kind of outgrow them. It doesn't mean like you necessarily ascend out of them. It's just sort of you get tired of them or you outgrow them, right?
Yeah. I mean, I buy decks and I'm like, yeah, I love this deck. I'm not going to go read with this deck.
Right.
And just stick it back. And at some point, I'll pull it back out, read with it a little bit, and then put it back.
I love Mary. I like a lot of the same ones you guys like. We tend to like all of us. Well, Roger likes a little darker decks, I will say.
I do too. So.
But
yeah, but I like the lighter decks.
We tend to like, but I like a lot of the same ones, and it seems to me like I love the Star Tarot, because she, even though people don't realize it, she has every bit of symbolism. She knows her Rider-Waite symbolism, and she has it all in there. And but yet you don't have to know that to really read with it. Right. So, yeah, because we teach from that. So.
And that's definitely one of those decks you need to see some of the cards, and people, when they see a couple of the cards out of it, they're like, ooh, I like this.
Yeah.
Where if you pick the box up, the box is okay. It doesn't jump off the shelf at you, but the cards do.
Once you see them, you really do, because that's what happened with the Star Tarot with me. Michelle said, no, you need to see these. And so then I started looking at them, and I just resonated with them immediately, and I started using them like that day. And I love those cards. And if you can have somebody that that has the deck, and you can look at them and feel them and see how you feel about them, that's another way of also trying to see if you like the deck as well.
What do you guys think about, since you have so many decks, and I know it's not like you can haul those every time you go to a reading, you can haul all of them with you, because then you do really become like the bag lady carrying, and it's not good for your cards every time. But how do you feel about, well, let me back up, because I remember one time you had a reading and somebody had you pick your cards. They said you can pick whichever cards you want, and you picked a deck, and then you didn't really like the reading because you picked, I don't know what you picked, but you didn't like it.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about like having your sitter or reader, or excuse me, querent pick their own decks? Like the thought of that, like you, not randomly, because my friend Megan does that I have Third Eyed Thinkers with. She has you randomly pick a bag, which is kind of fun. But like if you had these right here and you could say, Michelle, you're reading for me, and you could say, Michelle, pick one of these decks, which one looks interesting to you? Do you think that would be, because you have so many variety, would that be a good idea?
I think so. I like to try to pull like 3 or 4 when I'm doing like sensations, just because I don't know who's coming in, and it could be somebody where a darker deck works better, or somebody that maybe is newer to this and an angel deck's a better thing for them, just because they're kind of dipping their toe in here. I generally will go pick this many from there, this many from here. But if somebody said, I really like this deck over here, do you mind if we use it? I'm not going to have an issue to it, because they're feeling called to that. So, we all get different messages. Sometimes they'll end up being the same, but they're kind of being called to that. So
Right.
Who am I to say no to that?
I don't really have a problem with it. Most of the time, Spirit's like, I start off with a certain tarot, and then I kind of go from there, and Spirit tells me which deck to go next to. So that's usually how I do it. But if somebody said, hey, I really want to use that deck, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
So tarot versus oracle, do you have a preference?
No.
No, because I do intuitive rather than like regular tarot, so I kind of treat them the same way. And sometimes I don't even need them when I'm reading. It just kind of depends on it. I just kind of look at the imagery,
Yeah.
and kind of see. I don't necessarily go, oh, well, hey, I got the devil card and this is what this means. It's whatever Spirit kind of tells me that I need to share with somebody.
Right.
How much time, how are we on time?
You got 4 minutes.
Oh, so we don't have any time to read. We'll have to have you guys on another time so we can read, because I wanted people to know what great readers you are also. Both, as they said at the beginning, both Mary and Nikki are readers with Soultopia. They read. Nikki, are you now a daily reader too? I'm sorry, I don't always know.
Yeah, I didn't do it this month, but I was laid off back in February, so I have a little more time than I normally do.
Okay.
So right now, until I'm kind of actively interviewing, and fingers crossed. I've just did a bunch of interviews for one company. Kind of once when I start back, it'll probably go back to like maybe sensations or kind of filling in for people.
Hey, well, while you're on here, this gets out to a lot of people. Tell us what kind of job you're looking for, so somebody may know. Hey, this is a job search. Why not, y'all? We're all helping each other.
I work for a bank, one of the big banks, and I'm actually kind of open to whatever. I'm kind of one of those people, because I was like I said, I was a military brat. Just kind of throw it at me. So I've kind of been looking, was a business analyst. So I'm kind of open to kind of looking at that. So we'll, like I said, I firmly
Casting
believe
a wide net.
and kind of manifest anyway that I'll have something sooner rather than later. And
Well,
Yeah.
Actually, we probably have time for reading.
Well, remember we've got.
I know.
Okay. We have time for a reading?
Yeah, probably just one,
One
Okay.
reading?
maybe two.
Maybe two. Are y'all down for that?
Sure,
So
I'm for
if
it.
we do it, we're going to do it lightning. That means
Lightning
we
fast.
all pull one card. You want your hush?
Sure.
I pulled these, Roger. This is called Night Sun Tarot. I'll try it. Ooh, you better try that one. I don't know. I didn't
Okay.
mean ooh like it's bad. It just looks more like up his alley.
Oh, they're a
Okay.
little darker.
I'm reading with the Hush Tarot by Jeremy Hush. And Roger, you're reading?
What am I reading?
And-
Night Sun Tarot, and these are by, who the hell are these by?
While he's looking, Mary, who are you reading with?
I'm reading with my light seers.
By Chris-Ann and Nikki, what are you reading?
If we're doing 2, I'm going to do the 78 Tarot Elemental first, and then the Beyond Lemuria deck second, just so people can kind of see it.
Perfect. Okay.
Oh my God, these are by Fabio. No, I'm really serious. Fabio and Listorania.
Okay.
Fabio.
Well, I'm sure there's
Fabio
more than
Pere.
one person named
Oh, is
Fabio
it? I thought there was only one
in
Fabio.
the whole world.
I think there's only one Fabio. Now he does butter commercials.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Right, Mary?
Roger, you're showing your age.
You know Mary follows him.
The new Fabio is that Jason, what's his name? Everybody loves him. What is that guy's
Jason
name?
Momoa.
Oh,
Aquaman.
Jason Momoa?
I don't get it. Sorry, I'm the
Jennifer.
only person in the world
Fanatics.
only woman in the world that just doesn't get that.
Jennifer and her fanatic
Someday, I'm
fans.
telling you, it's gonna be the
Gorgeous.
Fabio thing. Him and what was that singer? Bolton.
Michael Bolton.
What was his name?
Michael Bolton.
Michael Bolton,
Bolton.
Fabio, and Jason. What's his name? All fall in the same exact category as far as I'm concerned.
Overrated?
No, just I don't know.
Overrated.
Hair,
Right?
I don't know. Just
Overrated.
not attractive at all to me.
She likes more of the Bigfoot style.
I like the Bigfoot, look. I mean, they're looking for Bigfoot. That's what I find attractive.
Which hat do I have
With an
on today?
alien hat on. I mean,
Oh, I got
there
the
you have
alien.
it. Hey,
Yeah.
you guys, that's what you need to do. Collaborate with Roger and our friend Matt, who and Neil maybe, looking for Bigfoot. That's the next step.
There you go.
Bigfoot
That'll
deck.
work.
Is there even a deck out like that? Y'all
I
should
don't
know.
think so.
We could
There
go.
you have it.
We need to go.
Niche. Okay, who are we reading for?
I think I saw Belle pop up.
Okay, so we're reading for Belle. Okay? Is there a question? General?
Nope,
Okay, general for Belle. Okay, so I'll go first. Belle, I get that sorry, your cards are everywhere.
Cards just went
Their
everywhere.
his cards are new, you guys, and they flew everywhere. I'm sorry, Belle. I just got a little distracted by that. Okay. Belle, listen to me. Don't worry. This is going to get better. You are holding in a lot of anxiety. You need to do self-healing and stop worrying. You are worrying for everyone and everything. You are highly psychic, highly sensitive. You are that person that Nikki was talking about earlier that has known things from as long as you can remember. Stop taking on the woes of the whole world right now. Okay? Mary?
Okay, I got the 3 of Cups for her. Can you see it? Belle, find things that resonate with you for self-care. Do things for yourself right now, and be loving and kind to yourself right now, please.
Nick?
Okay. I ended up with 2 because one of them jumped out when I pulled the other one. So we've got the Ace of Air, and we've got the 7 of Air. And it's something kind of similar to what you were telling her. To me, the Ace of Air, you've got sort of those eyes there, and sort of balance and meditation. So it's just kind of meditate on it, kind of just center yourself, especially when you're feeling anxious. A lot of times I'll take a bath because it's just a way to close up everything and just relax. And it's a good conductor when you're working with spirit. And then sort of the 7 of Air, to me, that's kind of like you've got that. You've got the protection. Things might be a little bit dark, but you are a warrior and definitely are stronger than you think you are.
Well, I pulled 2
No,
out.
you cheaters who are pulling 2
Well-
cards, but
They
okay.
don't.
Yeah, so what's crazy is I got the King of Wands and the King of Swords. And if you look at those, you have one fire card, one air card. But what I think about it is actually more of the balance and how your two sides of yourself actually feed off of each other. Because if you think about it, fire really will blaze hot when you throw the air into it. So if you think about it, Belle, your two sides of you that balance you out, they actually feed off of each other, which makes you burn even brighter.
Okay. Who's next? And as always, I set the intention for the highest and best good of everyone we're reading for.
Let's see.
Whatever intention everyone else is setting, just know that we are setting that intention. All right, who's next?
Let's see. We have, looks like Carla.
Okay, so we're reading for Carla, general.
Yeah.
All right. And I was kidding about the cheating on the cards because it's always usually me that pulls more than one.
Some will pull 5.
5. I'm going to
Just
do
for
a
the
Celtic
color.
cross.
Honestly, when they jump, usually that means that they've decided they want to join in with the other cards. So.
Right. Well, that means Roger needed to use the whole deck on the last one because they went flying all over the table.
Yeah.
They all wanted to be heard.
These cards are slick. I mean, they're not
They're
like
slick.
overly slick.
They're vibrant,
But,
aren't they?
Yeah, they're not overly slick. They're sometimes if they're slick like this but thin, they're hard to handle too.
Yeah, you just got to use them.
These are just
Got to break them in.
little slick.
All right. So for Carla, do y'all
like
want to?
playing
One of y'all
cards.
want to go first? Nikki, Mary. Y'all ready?
Yeah, I think, so this one is from the Beyond Lemuria deck by Izzy Ivy. And, if it's the Carla that I'm thinking about, our friend Carla, this is definitely a reflection of who she is. She's very highly connected to source, a lot more than people realize. To me, there's a lot of blue energy kind of going with that. So that's kind of the throat chakra, maybe speaking up a little bit more, sharing information a little bit more, and just, you've got, obviously, there's some healing that needs to be done, but just rely on those people around you. You've got angels among you, people, whether, you know them or not, that are there to kind of help you along.
Mary.
I got 2. The World and the Chariot for her. And
Yeah. There you go.
changes that are going on for you, and I think you're kind of having a hard time with them. Just know that this new beginning for you is going to be good for you and healing for you as well, and just take the time to just adjust to those changes and be really give yourself grace.
Roger.
So I got the 6 of Pentacles, Carla. And the one thing about this card is, if you notice, is how kind of barren it looks. That has a tree. In the tree, there's no leaves, there's no growth, there's no life to it. The pentacles are all laying on the ground. But when you start focusing on the card or the situation too much, we don't always notice off to the right, you have the growth of that apple right there, the new growth, the spiritual side of things. So for you, Carla, I want you, I know at times probably things seem down, things seem not as great as you want it to be or what have you, but look off center just a little bit, look off to it and look and see what's new coming in and around for you. That new growth, that new vitality, that new life.
Okay, so it's interesting sometimes when you work with the deck, and every time I set the intention that the cards are cleared from the last reading, but one of the cards I drew was the exact same card that I drew for Belle, and I didn't tell her what card it was. It was the Death card for Belle, and I drew the Death card again for Carla. So I did draw another card, just because I wanted to see what, just snap me in a different direction on this reading, and I drew the Lover's card, and so I just went straight to my intuition, Carla, and here's what I got. You're just going to have to go with it. I got, during this time you have, for all of us, of transition, we have had, which is the Death card, we have had a lot of time to think. And Carla, you have had a lot of time to think literally about past relationships, loved ones of every kind, those still with us and those not with us. and you have thought about this a lot, and even animal companions, I'm talking, but relationships, even, and I'm getting one specifically back to your college years, college days, whatever those years that would be like, and I'm talking even maybe like 19, 18, 19 to like say 25, those days. And there's somebody specific, whether you, if you've thought about it or not, sorry, this is getting kind of long, but I feel like you, this person has not come into your mind, I would like you to do a little exploration about this person and what this person meant in your life and why that transition should come up during this time of transition. Okay?
That's good.
All right. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining us, Mary and Nikki. Anyone, we have great rates on our readings right now. I don't know them off the top of my head. Do you guys know them off the top of your head? Mary, do you? How horrible of me. I believe they are.
Like 15 for 25.
So 15 minutes for $25.
Let's see, she's pulling it up because you guys send it out in the newsletter. You send out, what, every Wednesday?
So my daughter told me, she was like, Tanner told me, Mom, just tell me. Nobody's going to, and I was like, Tanner, y'all are young generation. You're going to look at newsletters, won't you? You'll look at the website. No, you got to just know it off the top of your head. And I was like, oh, it's math. So 15 minutes for 25 and 30 minutes for
45.
45.
I'm going to write them down, y'all. I'm sorry. Okay, so how
You
horrible
took my
of me.
notebook and my pen.
Okay, I took everything from Roger. So
Tomorrow's Tanner's birthday. I always remember because
tomorrow is my daughter's birthday also, yes. So while she's looking that up, we've got that.
Yeah.
So please, Mary
We
and
had
Nikki,
the-
the readers, we've got all the daily readers reading. We've got the moon coming up if I ever get off the phone, off this tonight. And we've also got what else? Bingo coming up on
Yeah,
Friday
bingo.
night.
I'll be posting a link where you can buy your bingo cards.
Virtual bingo, you
Virtual
guys.
bingo,
It's Crystal Bingo, Friday night.
We'll be doing 5 sessions.
It's going to be fun.
And there will be prizes.
Yeah. And so I don't know what else we have coming up, but you guys can look
Got a lot of
on.
fun
Oh,
stuff.
we've got everything. My crystal class. We've
Yep.
got Thursday night intuitive insights, all kinds of stuff. We are busy. I said
Yep.
for not being busy, man, virtually, we are busy, busy, busy.
Yes,
and
we
our
are.
meditations every night, and they're still trying to find the prices. You guys just go online because we are definitely out of time. But we did add back in those 15-minute readings.
Yeah.
Did y'all find them?
I didn't find
Okay,
it.
they didn't. So y'all just look. 15 minutes, I know, for $25, but
It's
we
on the
lowered them
website.
substantially, you guys. So for healings and readings, thank you guys. Stop looking, it's good. Thank you guys so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
They are experts at all things cards if you have any questions, and they are great readers, both of them. And that's it for this week. You can listen to SoulWhat on Spotify, the iHeart Radio app, Google Podcast, iTunes, and of course by watching live on YouTube at Michelle Soultopia and on both of our Facebook pages at SoulWhat and at Soultopia Holistic Boutique. Thank you guys so much for listening to SoulWhat, where we discuss, and I clearly can't talk, where we discuss
And
things
you
that
decide.
matter to your soul, and you get to decide what matters to your soul. Thank you so much for joining us. Good
Thanks,
night.
guys.